Our discussion for this meeting is on the research writing process. Okay, so this is the first thing that I'm going to discuss with you as an overview of our subject, so we could come up with an output, not a critical essay, but I would really like you to come up with a full paper, but that is of a different design, so that you will not be exposed to the ongoing pandemic, which is COVID-19. So there will be no field data collection, but you are going to do content analysis. So for this discussion, I'm going to give you the overview of the research process so that you could come up with a full paper which is on content analysis. And by the next discussions that I'm going to upload, it's going to be how you're going to do it on content analysis, so how you're going to write your introduction, how you're going to write all the components of a scientific report. Okay, so the writing process will include assignment clarification. So from time to time, you will clarify your assignment, the submissions, what you're going to submit, and the time management or the deadline of those stuff. Okay, so I'll just put it in our team. And then your topic selection, it's going to be due by next meeting. Then you will be having your brainstorm, because you will have your group members, or you will be grouped into three. Your virtual library visit, I need you to do that also. So there will be logs in your visit to the library. Your survey sources, you will include that one also in the submission. Your topic focus, how you're going to read, come up with those topics from the articles that you're going to read. Then your preliminary thesis, the outline, the draft of your paper, the revised paper, and the sources of help. But I'm not going to show it to you, the sources of help, in which, but you need to focus it on the library. Okay, so the purpose of this lecture is to identify and examine the components essential to the planning and executing college level research writing assignments. So why do I have to pursue the research writing assignments, not on the critical essays? Because I would have wanted you to experience doing research in a different method of data collection, because we can always do research without doing the field data collection, because it is the misconception of almost everyone that your research is only good if you are collecting primary data. No, it's not. You can still make research if you are going to analyze secondary sources, or those content analysis. Okay, so the process is, at the end of this subject, you will be able to conceptualize your own paper, and you're going to put it in the live. Then you are going to present it also in our class. So since we are in the first month, so I think we are going to have 5 to 7 meetings from after this. So, and then after that, you are going to submit with a full paper. So as much as possible, I am going to give you lectures like this one, post it in our team, so that all the other times will be allotted to doing researches in the library. So the library can be accessed online, so you can do access in the library. Then as much as possible, I would want your sources from the library. If not, if it is a new one, then I cannot do anything about it. But as much as possible, we will use the library sources. The writing process, we have the pre-writing, the writing, and the post-writing. Okay, so in the pre-writing, that's part of the pre-writing is the topic selection. Okay, so when you are going to select your topic, it can be based on the previous knowledge that you have. It could be based on the course content, or it could be based on personal or professional experience or interest. So you may ask questions: who, what, where, when, why. The five W's. Well, what is it similar to or different from? What are the causes? What are the consequences? What is the essential function? What are the definitions? What is the history? What is the present status? What case can be made or against it? How did it happen? Why did it happen? What is my personal reaction to it? Then you identify subtopics. Then in your brainstorming strategies, you will have your list, you will have your mapping, and then that's the time you will start your pre-writing. Library visit, you browse the UV library, tour the library, so Dr. Aileen Kataputan could help you on that. Meet with a reference librarian, learn the difference between scholarly journals and periodicals, and you're going to locate sources. Survey sources could be abstracts or verticals, or it could be reports, or it could be those posted online. That is, if you are going to do some online analysis on political issues, you can do that. You can. I would encourage you to do something like that. That you are going to do some analysis, content analysis on the political issues or views which are posted on on social networking sites like Facebook. So I would like you to analyze that and make your comments on that, whether it's fake or not. So now that's fake news cannot be determined from the true news. So that's the time that I would like you to do that content analysis. So you would help readers understand whether they are really what you call this, reading a true news or it's fake news. Then for the topic focus, you go back to your original subject and focus it further based upon the information you gleaned during the text survey activities. Then read. So when you do research, there is a lot of time uh, which you are going to budget for reading. So you read a lot. And if you are using those Facebook posts, you have to read all of those Facebook posts. And I would like you to analyze which of the keywords there are repeated and how many times it is repeated, and what are the keywords that signifies it is a fake news or a true news, and whether it's coming from a fake site or a questionable site. Then you will be discovering a preliminary thesis. So you form a thesis statement or question that will guide the rest of your research and writing. So from focus topic plus assertion, then you come up with a thesis statement. Okay, so for example, we have this one, discovering a preliminary thesis. So you have the topic environmental issues connected to proper disposal of face masks. Right now, since we battle COVID-19, part of our everyday, I mean, it's really part of our costume. It's really part of our outfit. The face mask, whether it's a cloth or whether it's disposable. Yeah, so how are we going to dispose it? So if you notice, this has become a problem now, the disposal of those face masks, because it is disposable, meaning it can only be used once. So for 7 days a week, those who are going to work is going to at least dispose 7 or more face masks depending on their usage. So sometimes you need to dispose or change face mask twice a day or thrice a day. That depends on the kind of job that you have. So that is becoming an issue, the environment, the proper disposal of this face mask. Then the focus topic, of course, is this disposal of face mask. And the thesis question is, in what ways are face masks properly disposed? And your thesis statement could be, masks are essential for stopping the spread of COVID-19 during the pandemic, and they have become an everyday accessory. However, what are the effects of huge increase in the use of disposable masks? The environment is in danger of being another victim if masks are not disposed of carefully. It is true. So before we find plastics as the environmental hazards, now this face mask is adding to that environmental hazards. Or if your topic is on technology and consumerism, so that's your topic, and your focus topic would be the way television impacted consumerism within the nuclear family from the mid-50s and to the early 60s. How does it impact? Or maybe you could change the timeline from the 20th century na, so it is in the year 2000 to 2015, like that. So the way television impacted consumerism. That's within the nuclear family type. Then your thesis question would be, how did television target nuclear families and promote specific consumer habits and values? Because it has a different value system when it is a nuclear family, different from the extended family type. And the thesis statement could be, television programs and advertisements during the 1950s promoted consumer habits that promised to support domestic happiness within the nuclear family. Or you can have this thesis examples, statement examples. Although companies often have legitimate concerns that lead them to monitor employees' internet usage, from expensive security breaches to reduced productivity, the benefits of electric surveillance are outweighed by its cost to employees' privacy and autonomy. Okay, so those are a few examples. You can search online on few examples of thesis statement. Then you can make a list of after that your thesis statement you do outline, so you make a list of main points. So these points will form the organizational pattern of your paper. Then you make special notes or concepts from your sources. You paraphrase your text. You draw an outline. Then revise this as needed, of course. Then you have integrating sources. So you have to integrate sources. So it is very important that you have, every time you are going to write or copy or rephrase a statement, you have to have the source. Okay, so you have to substantiate your claim. Okay, so although we are mandated not to let you let your paper go through with the Turnitin, because it's, aside from it is costly in the times of pandemic, because they are trying to have na the output as critical essays, but still we have to be responsible that we are not going to copy or plagiarize the works of others. So it should be important that your work or your thesis is fresh and it is original. Okay, so how would you integrate sources? You have that example according to Smith or like that. So on the second example, by the early 1960s, you have to quote, and then you have to include a page also, if possible, where you quote it. So there are different ways on how you're going to integrate sources in your paper. Then you have your checklist, revision checklist. Of course, I will be the one to check your paper for the revised part. So I will be using review as a what do you call that, as an add-in to Word, so that you would know which part of your paper needs to be revised, because I'm going to make comments on what you're going to do, or if I need some clarification, then I will be asking you questions for clarity on that section of the paper. So make sure that you know how to you call this one, follow instructions on the review, or on the accepting and on the rejecting of comments in the review. Okay, so this is the thing that you need to do after this overview. Okay, so if you can group into three, that's a better, but if you can group only two, anyway, there are no payments involved here, so you don't need to be worried of any payments, that if you're going to group yourselves into two or three, or just an individual, you'll be paying much, because there is no payment involved in this one. You need to have an output. It has to be checked by an anti-plagiarism software, but as much as possible, we're not going to have it part of your payment, because I know that Turnitin is very expensive. Then you choose a topic, because that's the time that we are going to discuss it next meeting, because our next meeting, which will be on Wednesday, if I can meet you, or just the same thing, I'm going to upload videos so that you would be guided, because I will be discussing on how you're going to write your introduction. Okay, so from that, you will also be writing. So as you move along, you are going to finish also your paper, because every time that I'm going to discuss something, there is going to be a deliverable after which. Okay, so see you next meeting. Prepare for your topic, and I would like you to focus your topic on political issues, since you're pol sci, and you can incorporate it with the issues on the ongoing Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing on the formally. So I need you to do some, it's some content analysis on that, because the lower house, Congress is also having their own investigation, and I would like to you to compare, if in case you need to study on that, pursue on that, I need you to compare how the lower house treat the issue compared to the Senate. Okay, so that's it for this afternoon. Draft. Okay, so you have to begin the writing in chunks, then continuously refer to your thesis in order to stay on the track. Then it is important that you know how to use keywords. Then integrate information from sources as you draft, and include parenthetical citations. So this time you have to include parenthetical citations. So it is important that you know how to do some in-text citations or parenthetical citations. So the university is using the APA 7th edition, so you have to follow that. Although you can search from the internet how you're going to do that 7th APA. Then you have to move from point to point rather than from author to author. Okay, so it's from point to point, not author to author. So you have to be careful with that.